Hello everyone and welcome to the Starni Games developer stream. So today we'll be having a special episode dedicated to the strategic mind Spirit of Liberty. This is the first proper playthrough of the game. It's still in the testing phase and there is no voiceover and some issues are possible, but I would like to demonstrate to you the first level, and maybe we'll make another stream with some further levels. So here we are starting the Winter War, and let me read through the introductory messages. So General Iro, give us a situation report. The Soviet forces have broken through our border defenses. According to the field reports, they expect this initial attack to push all the way to Viipuri. Well, they won't reach it. General Ash, you'll make sure of it. Destroy the enemy's forward units. The time for diplomacy is over. Ash. Understood, Field Marshal. Our soldiers will meet the enemy at Kanelarbi. The landscape there is excellent for defense. However, we cannot hold the enemy there for long. My current forces won't nearly be enough. So, Ash is the player character in the historical campaign. Mannerheim, I understand, you will be reinforced at the earliest opportunity, but before that, the fate of Finland depends on your leadership. Do not let your country down, Leonard. General Ash, strange enemy activity has been reported at Patricky. Send an aviation reconnaissance as soon as possible to see what the Soviets are planning. Understood, General Iro. I will give the orders. Okay, so here we are with some first border clashes in the Winter War. So Soviet troops has already managed to invade quite a large chunk of Finnish territory, and our forces are here to stop them and possibly retaliate. We have another Finnish garrison there, which is allied to us. Additionally, so we have primary objective to beat back the Soviet troops, so there are some enemy force incoming on our positions, and then the secondary objectives currently we have one, conduct aviation reconnaissance of Patricky. So let's use our HQ skills. So those are command points that you can use during the operation to use some special abilities, and you can learn more of them between the operations throughout the campaign. So right now we have air reconnaissance. So let's send it through and see what happens. So there won't be this lag in the actual build on Steam. It's because right now I am playing from Unreal Engine editor. So there are some issues with uploading the unit model before showing it on screen. Ash, the aerial reconnaissance of Patricky is complete, General Iro. What's the situation there? There is a train with Soviet armored vehicles at the railroad station. It's currently being unloaded. This presents an opportunity to capture some tanks, General Ash. I recommend you don't waste it. Yeah, so we could capture some Soviet tanks being unloaded at this railroad station. Yeah, well, so for now we have to hold off the enemy attack. So let's see what we've got. Basically, we've got the Vickers 6-ton tank, which is like the only tank Finland had at this in Winter War, and it's actually they had only dozen of those, so they went like in one combat and lost half of those, so that was like somewhat like between 10 and 20 tanks versus like 2000 of USSR tanks, but this terrain is not really well suited for tank combat. Well, some portions are more or less okay for tank offensives, so Soviets used that to their advantage as well. So we have some artillery here, we have regular infantry, we have Bofors anti-tank gun, which historically Finns were producing, and actually they bought British Vickers tanks and put an anti-tank gun of their own productions. Mounted it on the tank because it was shipped to them without the actual gun. These are some conscripts. Scouts. So this is the first time in the series that we have not like a recon car, but infantry scouts. So they have most of the skills, like they have like segmented movement. They can interrogate the enemy, and they have low profile, so they cannot be overwatched, and can move through the enemy zone of control. Yeah, so those are like the first infantry type scouting units in the series so far. Because the reason why we added them, well, first for diversity reasons, and second one is actually because there is like only one or two actual scout cars that Finland used in Winter War, so there would be like very limited units, like so you wouldn't be able to get enough recon units for your army, so we had to come up with like a solution, and I guess infantry scouting is like the most logical and reasonable one, and also historically accurate. So yeah, so we have some Molotov cocktails here, some trucks, and you can actually change equipment, get all different sorts. So as you can see, some equipment here is limited. Before that in the series it was only for trophies, but here it's for the actual like regular equipment, like because those mortars or like boys anti-tank rifles were purchased like from other countries, so they are in limited supply. So some equipment is not like available in unlimited numbers now, but some basic equipment is available, of course. So we've tried to put a limitation both on units you can acquire. So for example, if you look at the units acquisition screen here, like you can get one more Vickers 6 stone, you can get 2 Pak 36 anti-tank guns, you can get 1 more Bofors gun, 2 Bofors anti-aircraft guns, 2 37mm flak, 1 105mm Snyder artillery, and 1 Fokker fighter plane, 1 Bristol Blenheim from Britain, and 1 Fokker 6. So those are purchased from other countries, and thus are in limited supply. So we've checked the numbers that were shipped to Finland historically to make sure this is like makes sense from historical point of view. So in this campaign it's really tough, so sometimes you have to purchase units that you wouldn't normally get just because you have nothing better at the moment. So to get your troops like at least some form of, so it's really important to get your troops experience and like get your army really like strong in terms of levels and in terms of equipment, so they could win battles even with inferior material part, like inferior models and stuff. Okay, so let's actually see what the Soviets can bring to the table. So I am more or less happy with how my troops are positioned, so I will just end the turn and see what happens. Okay, so they are attacking on the other direction as well. Okay, this is a BA-10 Soviet scout car, which has a really decent gun. So it's one of those recon cars that's very deceptive because it has 45mm gun with nice anti-armor capabilities. Okay, so they got into our anti-tank ambush. Yeah, so now we can fight them out actually. I'd rather focus on the scout car because it's more maneuverable and it provides good vision on all of our units. So I guess yeah, not much I can do without putting my units at a risk of getting high damage, so I guess I would keep it on the defensive for now. A nice support from the anti-tank gun. Okay, so they are trying to get around, but there are marches, so I need... okay, it gets across the river and gets overwatched. So this small river is actually reducing the movement capabilities of units, and it's also bad to attack across the river. And also this swamp tile, you can actually click on tile to learn all the information about it. So like swamp, not only does it provide severe combat penalties, but also hinders movement of your troops. So there is a -4 penalty to all attack and defense parameters, so it would be really easy to get the tank there. So let's fire it with our anti-tank gun, and then finish it off with some of our core units. So I guess I would use artillery to get rid of this armored car. But then I can't get to these guys for now. So I would probably send my scouts to retrieve those tanks. They're basically cannot fight at this stage. So we have this camera close up to show like some key elements of combat, and you've noticed probably that when my scouts moved here, instead of like question mark, that I like didn't have good intel on those guys. Now I can see them clearly. Those are Soviet conscripts, so not too big of a challenge. So I'll start moving my infantry units forward. I would probably move my artillery here as well, and would move my... So when artillery or like towed units have to go far, or like infantry, they could use their trucks. So I have this truck here, and it allows me to go further. You can see that here there is no truck icon in this tile, so here I can go without boarding a truck, but here, for instance, I would need to board the truck to get there. So I guess those are enough to tackle these guys, so I would probably already start moving towards this city. Hopefully I won't get noticed by the enemy troops, because trucks are really vulnerable. Okay, so let's end the turn. Okay, so these tanks keep pounding on our bunker. Okay, those guys went into march as well. So those Soviet command is not really that great, I would say. Let's attack them from this high ground basically, and let's finish them off with our tanks. The Soviet offensive has been repelled, Field Marshal. Excellent work, Ash. This gives us some time and we must use it well. I am sending you some reinforcements as we speak. Assume the command. Your next task will be to capture the airfield near Lake Marchenkovo. Take it from the Soviets and we'll be able to send in the Air Force. Whatever you send, I won't say no to it. We are dealing with an invasion here. I'll give orders to capture that airfield. Okay, so when we capture this airfield, we'll get some extra like aircraft units. Well, not really extra, at least some aircraft units, since we don't have any at the moment. And we've got some nice reinforcements here. Extra artillery. Actually, this is the scout car that I was talking about. So this is Swedish Landsberg L 182, and it's actually very limited because historically they had only a couple of those. Yeah, you cannot get more than one of those, I think. Yeah, so so that's why we need also a infantry scouts, and on top of that Yeah, we could send these guys forward. And we've got some Jaegers, so also like elite infantry troops. Well, let's see what we can do. Okay, so there is enemy artillery. Yeah, not our attacks against them are not great, I would say. Well, let's bring our second artillery closer, and let's bring Jaegers closer as well. Well, let's try and attack this artillery. Of course, they retaliate on us, but it's not so strong of an attack. And let's change our position so they don't know where our artillery is located anymore. Because when you fire, you give away your position to the enemy, so it's prudent to move your artillery afterwards if you can. Yeah, so we got support fire because they didn't expect us to fire from there. Greetings, General Ash. Our intelligence service reports that the Soviets have recently captured a warehouse in this area, one we couldn't evacuate on time. We cannot afford to waste valuable army equipment like that. Retake the warehouse at the earliest opportunity. Thank you for the information, General Iro. I'll see what I can do. Okay, so I'd like to point out that this is still like a very early preview of the game, so basically there would be a full voiceover, plus we would have cinematics before and after each operations, which are currently not here, so hope the game would be much more cool at that stage. Yeah. Actually, I don't want to move in there because tanks are really vulnerable in city tiles, so I'd rather surround them for now and try to storm them with infantry units, but it seemed to not go very well, so let's move our artillery here for now. Let's bring up our remaining forces as well. Yeah, so with artillery support I don't think these guys can do much trouble for us. Okay, great. So they've restored their wounded and they are again at full strength because the damage we've dealt to them was non-lethal. So as you can see, one lethal, one non-lethal, for example. But it's not a big deal since we will storm. So artillery deals mostly non-lethal damage. But you can still like finish them off with... okay, so we've gathered some intelligence data on those bunkers. They're not at full strength since they were captured by the USSR forces before. Okay, so we are getting the aircraft units, hence this lag. Once again, I'm playing from editor, so that's why in the build it goes smoothly, as we know from previous projects. The airfield is ours, Field Marshal Mannerheim. Good to hear. Our combat aviation is now under your command. General Ash, the time has come for a counterattack. You need to capture the cities of Mustamaki and Rivala. It will be done, Field Marshal Mannerheim. Okay, so yeah, I guess there is a basically some mistake in the text here, because I think we have to capture only this one. So we'll have to correct the text once again. It's just some early build, so some minor problems are possible here. Okay, so no significant enemy forces. So for the victory screen, like, we have different parameters affecting your like result and the type of victory you get. So there are like control all flags and control all enemies parameters, but you don't have to actually destroy all the bunkers or like demine all the mines. So that's usually only like the moving enemy units, and but they could still give some extra experience to your forces, so it could be prudent to deal with them. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll send this Bofors gun to start pounding at that bunker. Okay, we've got ourselves some aircraft, so let's see what the enemy has here.
Verifying the enemy's location.
Yeah, once again, this lag when summoning some new units to the level is kind of... Okay, so there is some enemy anti-aircraft gun and some enemy aviation. So I guess we have to be careful. We have one fighter unit, and we've got some anti-aircraft gun as well. So let's try to lure the enemy planes into a trap and move cautiously here. We are playing as underdogs here anyways, so let's not get too kind of... Okay, we've got two fighters actually, so yeah. So let's try to put them in here, and then we can put our bomber planes behind them. So we've got one Fokker dive bomber and one Bristol Blenheim tactical bomber there. And let's advance slowly with our infantry here and bring our artillery closer. Yeah, like here. And I'd like to avoid moving in trucks if possible for now, while we haven't dealt with the enemy aircraft, because trucks are really vulnerable to air attacks. So let's see what happens now. Okay, so I haven't thought about that when I was moving my Bofors gun there, but at least there is a fighter nearby, so it could offer some additional protection. Okay, I didn't expect the Soviet tank there, so that was probably not the best play on my part. General Ash, something absolutely infuriating is happening at Kivanapa. Eyewitnesses report a Soviet armored car with a loudspeaker mounted on it driving around and spreading socialist propaganda. I didn't think anything could infuriate you, Ira, but I suppose listening about the joys awaiting Finland under communism will get on anybody's nerves. Precisely, our people are more or less immune to that nonsense, but it makes the Soviet soldiers fight with added enthusiasm. For God's sake, get in there and shut that circus down. It will be my pleasure. Okay, so we've got to deal with some Soviet propaganda track. Okay, let's see. So yeah, our artillery got quite damaged by that unexpected Soviet tank attack. Fortunately, we have our Bofors gun at hand, but it it's not that perfect. So attacking here right now. So let's start with our tactical bombers, which are really effective against tanks. And now let's actually follow up with our Bofors gun as well. And let's finish them off with recon to learn allocation of the nearby enemy units. So capturing an enemy unit will provide intel on the enemy units within 5 hexes range, so that's always very useful. Additionally, we've got ourselves some enemy planes to deal with. No, I haven't seen where the enemy fighters are. I think I saw some. But let's deal with their bombers then. Okay, so we've bombed these guys. So let's put fighters next to our bombers and attack this bomber plane. Yeah, it would have been ideal to finish it off with our plane so that it gets more experience. But oh well. Let's finish it off with the non-core unit then. Yeah, and let's bring this bomber closer to fighter as well. Okay, so I put my tank here to sort of cover this artillery a little bit. And where is our other artillery? It's also here. Yeah. Let's keep moving. Yeah, and we've captured this unit. Yeah, so now we have to deal with... And do we have anyone with flamethrowers? Let's get you guys some... okay, we don't have any flamethrowers in Finland, I forgot about that. Well, then we'll have to do without those. We might get our hands on them later during the campaign. Yeah, let's finish the turn and see what happens. Okay, so this bomber got overwatched. Oh, okay, so here is the enemy fighter. I have totally missed that one. Okay, so yeah, let's deal with this enemy fighter plane. And let's send this fighter plane here as well. Okay, so let's take this outskirts of the city. Okay, so yeah, so these are scouts. Let's actually move them further, like here, and hide in there. Now we can start moving with our Jaegers. So I'd move here for now. No need to get too far, I'd say. Although we still need to capture those tanks, so let's actually use our aircraft recon and start moving there as well, because we have to get there on time. So you can always click the objective to see where it takes us. So I guess here you would need to capture that hex. I would also send my conscript there probably. And let's send our bombers there for now. Yeah, let's bring our artillery closer to here. So they can start storming that city. And let's send our bombers here. Hopefully there won't be any extra enemy fighters. But maybe let's... Scout car is not much use in the city, so let's start moving it there as well. Yeah, I would need regulars here helping with storming the city, so... Okay, so our anti-aircraft gun got the XP. And didn't allow the enemy bomber to attack. Okay, so there were some extra enemy units in there. Yeah, it was unfortunate. Yeah, that was poor idea on my part. Hopefully they won't finish off my let's say, hopefully they won't finish off my my units there. Yeah, and my plane got overwatched, so yeah, started playing somewhat sloppy here. Let's bring both force guns there as well. But we should be faring somewhat better here. So let's start moving closer to here. Yeah, let's bring regulars as well. And another ones. Yeah, didn't make it, but we'll take it next turn. Okay, so they're getting some reinforcements there. Dealt some damage to the enemy AA guns. Okay, so their scout car keeps ambushing our trucks, and they are moving their tanks to defend the city. But actually Bofors could help us. Yeah, so let's bomb those guys in the marshes, and yeah, let's move our tanks into the city. So we've captured the Soviet T-26 tanks. General Ira, thank you for the tip once more. Splendid, may they serve you well in the field. So basically in this campaign you don't get lots of like your own tanks, but you get to like capture some of the enemy ones, so that should help in getting some tank forces of your own. Yeah, some nice EXP for our Bofors guns. And yeah, so we've captured this city here. So the Landsberg is still at risk. So first let's level up it. I think let's start with Observant, I would say, to provide better intel to anyone. Yeah, and actually it's a tile where you could reinforce units because it's close to infrastructure tile, like one hex around any like railroad station or supply point. So you cannot reinforce in any hex, but in this one you can, fortunately. So I'm worried about losing this unit, so I should probably go and reinforce it, and it would cost me 40 prestige, which is quite a significant amount. So but I don't want to lose this unit since I don't have any like replacement units ready for it. So it's important to know where to reinforce and when it's better to wait, because after the battle you would get it twice cheaper. So it's better not to reinforce throughout the operation, but if it's totally crucial and you don't want to lose a unit like that, so you still have to reinforce. Okay, let's now concentrate on breaking that city's defense. We've beaten the Soviets out of all local key points, Field Marshal Mannerheim. Excellent work, General Ash. Let the Bolsheviks know this war won't be a relaxing walk in the woods for them. Your leadership saved Finland from a terrible blow, General Ash. If the Communists took Viipuri in a few days, all of our defensive efforts would have gone to waste. I thank you on behalf of the entire nation of Finland. Okay, we've got a silver victory, but let's not be content with it and finish all the secondary objectives, which are capture the warehouse and destroy the propaganda truck. So if you want, you can just, skip clearing the whole map, but let's see what happens if we do continue this operation. We didn't want these like battles to draw out too long, so we give you like an opportunity to finish fast if you want, but if you want to get all the objectives, you would need to put some extra effort there. And these first Finnish battles then don't have night time, so they are more like fast-paced. Because of the dates, they're usually like happening in 1 or 2 days, one after another. So this whole map is like considered to be like 1 day effort or something like that. Whilst some later maps will have a day-night cycle and will be more like drawn-out battles. But overall, we've tried to make this historical campaign with somewhat shorter maps so that you can finish them in an hour or like maybe under 2 hours if those are the bigger ones. So we'll see how we manage to get that. Yeah, so I guess we would need some air forces support here. So since we've so as you can see, if they move here they will be out of fuel, but at the same time I hope we will take this airfield, so maybe I should risk it and go here and then get fuel. Although that, I'd rather not risk it. I'll move back to my airfield here for refueling and restoring some damaged aircraft. Yeah, I think that would be the best. Yeah. Okay, great. So yeah, let's actually move this buffer's gun here to gain some EXP on that bunker for some target practice, or like shooting practice, I would say. Yeah, so they got some extra forces in there. Okay, our artillery suppressed their anti-aircraft guns, but now they've got some extra recon armored cars and tanks in here. However, tank in the city is quite vulnerable, as I've said before. Okay, so first let's deal with this anti-aircraft gun so that we can now start using our aviation. Okay, so this is the propaganda car, so they brought it all the way down here. Okay, so this is not actually a truck. This should probably be corrected as well. This is actually a recon car with propaganda loudspeakers here. So yeah, let's use our aircraft. So okay, this one should go for refueling, but this one already did refuel, so let's summon it here and let's start dealing with this enemy propaganda right away. This is quite a deadly weapon if you think about it. So yeah, let's concentrate our fire on it for now. We've given the Russian propagandists their just desserts, General Ira. You were right, without hourly reminders of their beloved great leader, the Soviets aren't half as fierce. As expected, most of them are conscripts. Dictatorships are good at raising endless hordes of soldiers, but our men and women know what they're fighting for, and they will always outmatch anyone who doesn't. Okay, so let's move in here. Yeah, not the greatest odds, I would say, so I'd rather fall back here and see what we can do. Yeah. Okay, let's see. I'd send this to capture this one. And let's deal with this fort here. Also, let's not forget about the heroes. So we've got quite a lot of those. So Lauri Torni, Simo Haya, of course. Like the day we posted the store page, and it was mentioned on the store page that we will have Simo Haya in the game, but still lots of people ask me like, will there be Simo Haya in the game? So yes, it will be there. It was going to be there all along. Arne Utilainen, Ilmar Utilainen, Hans Wind, Vilnor Ratta, Borj Brotel, Reino Levaslaya, and Birger Ek. So I'm sorry if I probably pronounced all of them wrong, but I did the best I could. So sorry to guys from Finland, yeah, for any possible mistakes. So yeah, those could be assigned to units once. So like to get this hero, you have to deal certain damage to tanks with a tank unit, any given like single tank unit, and so on. So there are like different heroes for different types of units. So let's actually see how well our infantry doing. Yeah, so they've already got some nice progress here. Yeah, those are not so well, but yeah, so basically you have to get those like numbers, and you will get hero with special abilities, which are quite powerful. But for now, let's keep dealing with the enemy tanks. Okay, so they've drove right into the city, and now we can use aircraft to deal with them. Let's use our second aircraft to start. Okay, so it's not bomber. Yeah, let's bomb that bunker actually. And what else do we have that can deal with it efficiently? Yeah, maybe our fighter as well. I didn't want to board a truck there, but oh well. Yeah, cannot really deal with it. Right now. No. By the way, how is our Bofors gun doing? So yeah, it's right behind the enemy bunker. Yeah, so we only have this capture warehouse objective left, and we'll need to clear that small city there as well. So let's keep moving with our tanks and our infantry units. Yeah, so let's scout with our fighter planes and let's use our fighters to finish off that bunker and send our dive bombers to attack, to harass that artillery up north. And let's finish it off with our new tanks. We have some infantry here, so let's start bringing our guys. Yeah. Well, we are mostly done in here, so guess we'll just finish the cleanup. So right now we are still at a silver victory because we are at 316. But we'll get a lot when we clear everything and finish the last objective. Yeah, so I've misclicked, and instead of going here I clicked here, so I can undo that. And now I can move in here, although this function is not always working, so if you attacked anyone or like spotted some new enemy units or got into ambush, it wouldn't work. It's basically for the times when you misclick it and it doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter for you, but not for the tactile situation, so that's when you can undo, but if you've made some blunder, it won't save you. Okay, so we've lured these guys out of there, and now it's somewhat easier to deal with them. But yeah, I would like to use my bombers first. Then I could fire at them with tanks from afar, and yeah, now I can capture them with the recon car. And I would like to get in position with these guys. And yeah, let's start bombarding. And we have these planes here as well. So we haven't dealt damage, but we still reduced their entrenchment level, so that was still useful. Yeah, okay. You were correct, General Ira. A lot of valuable equipment was in that warehouse, and now it's ours again. Glad to be of help, General Ash. Okay, so let's actually see what sort of equipment we've got. There would be a hint later, so that's also missing, but yeah, I think we've got some Vickers machine guns from, or yeah. So those who've played our previous titles would get that reference there. Yeah, so yeah, now we've finished with the first battle, but since we've already been debriefed, I guess that's all. We've got our 400 points, and we've got our Order of the British Empire Commander class, with +1 soft attack to the HQ unit granted by the British Empire, and we've got Knight of the White Rose of Finland, +1 command point. So this is like the nice first introductory operations where you get to stop the enemy advance after they cross the border and get back a few cities which would probably be still taken over by the Soviets later on, but at least you've slowed down their advance significantly since they now have to think about retaking those, and you want some extra time for the Finland to mobilize and to bolster their army however they can. So it's still like a small but valuable victory. And so this battle is like a combination of what was happening historically, but not some particular battle. But the next operations are like fully historical battles. So I guess I'll be recording one more episode soon, showcasing the next operation. Yeah, so stay tuned and watch our broadcasts, and if you have any questions on the game, feel free to ask. So yeah, there is no like headquarters that I can show to you right now. They are not finished yet, so I can only like show some of the units that are available for purchase here, showcase heroes, equipment for various types of units, and maybe there will be some extra, cannot say at this stage, some new units like this Landswerk, or like this Vickers tank, or some Finnish troops, or something like Focker's CX. Well, Bristol Blenheims were in the previous battles, but not the Finnish ones. Some Fokker fighters and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoyed this live stream, and reach out to us at contact at starnigames.com, and let us know if you have any questions like or suggestions or whatever you want regarding this project. And if you like what you see, then consider wishlisting the Strategic Mind Spirit of Liberty title to get notification when it goes live. And also we will be running a free prologue app, which is named Strategic Mind Spirit of Liberty Prologue 1939, which will include several first operations from the historical campaign, and it will be released for free before the full game release. So consider wishlisting that one as well to get your hands on the early parts of the game before the actual release, and you will be able to transfer your save files from the prologue to the full game when it releases. So if you're interested in this sort of games, just keep an eye out for our projects, and hopefully you will enjoy it. And I myself am really looking forward to seeing all the new cinematics and playing these operations with full voiceover and with all the fixes and stuff. But it's already plays out quite well, I think, so hopefully you will enjoy it as well. Have a good day, and goodbye.